Welcome. I am Dr. Barry, a licensed psychologist, and I am going to be starting a second channel. Here, I normally talk about psychology and true crime, and we will continue to do that here on this channel. And really just talking about navigating neurodiversity. So that is what we're going to be doing over in the other space, not related to any trials or crime. So, answering general questions. So, if people are asking, how do I schedule a neuropsychological? How do I find a psychologist? What are your thoughts on self diagnosis? All of those questions will be answered over on that other channel. Please know that I am a psychologist. I am not your psychologist. And so I can't give you individual recommendations. And so, in general, I would recommend if people are asking questions to say, you know, what recommendations would you give to somebody with an elementary school student that's noticing concerns and blah blah blah. I don't know, but you don't have to say I have a 5-year-old and this. So, in general, because I won't be able to help with your specific situation. Today's video was requested by Firebird's Child, and thank you for requesting this video. I know that so I haven't formally been diagnosed with ADHD, but it's clear. It's pretty clear. I have multiple psychologist friends that are all like, "I thought you knew." I have other friends with ADHD that are all like, "I thought you knew." But it wasn't until my 40s that I really accepted, yes, I have ADHD. And what that did for me personally was there were times that I felt lazy. There were times that I felt like there was something wrong with me, wrong with my brain. Why can't I remember my keys? Why do I lock myself out of the office once a year? Why do I leave the garage door open? I'm telling you things that happened. I accidentally left the garage door to the house open yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. Thankfully, we have a security system. We live in a safe neighborhood. Everything was fine. But yeah, sometimes that happens. And it's not that ADHD excuses those behaviors. It's not that I have this excuse that I can use. It's just now I know how my brain works. My brain is constantly seeking what's interesting. And if I need to do my notes, and if I have a trip in 2 weeks, I would much rather pack for that trip in 2 weeks than do my notes. And so sometimes I'll have to say, "Okay, before you do that other activity, you have to get 3 notes done." And then you can pack for 10 minutes or 15, I don't know. Then you can pack for this period of time. Timers work for me, and I need external timers. I have what's called time blindness. A lot of people that are neurodivergent talk about time blindness. When I'm doing something I love, time flies. When I'm doing something I don't enjoy, time crawls by. And so if I tell my kid, "Hey, you have 5 minutes," I often have to set and I'm sorry, I have to set an Alexa timer because I'll say 5 minutes and then 15 minutes later, I'll be like, "Oh, no, we're running late." I have to set timers for myself. And what late diagnosis can do for the individual is it can provide some understanding and relief. Like, "Ah, I knew there was something different. I knew there was something going on." There can also be grief, anger, and frustration that it wasn't caught sooner, that I struggled all this time and I could have had support. I could have done things different. I could have, all these times I thought I was dumb and I couldn't do it. It's actually my brain works different and I just needed to do it in a different way or look at it in a different way. And that grief, those feelings are real and valid. And at the same time, I can't stay there. So I can't stay stuck in that mad place. I can't stay stuck there. Eventually, a person will get to the point where it's like, okay, now that I know, what now? What do we do now? And how can I navigate my world and my life in a way that makes sense for me? So, my husband is able to keep his keys in the master bedroom And when he leaves to go somewhere in the like when he goes somewhere, he always remembers to get his keys and go there. My keys are by the exit. And I keep them there, because when they end up other places, I end up losing them. And so just doing things that work for you, that work for your brain, and everybody won't understand. And so how do you handle it if your parents don't believe? Let's say you're an adult and nobody else is really affirming of your diagnosis. You're not getting the support that you want. um I think internal validation is incredibly, because sometimes we can look for other people to justify what you already know. And sometimes those people won't do it. Because as a parent, missing neurodiversity in your child, there can be a grief with that. And some people are in denial. And there are some people that will never admit that something's going on. There are some families that don't believe in diagnosis. There are some people that it's just maybe because of religious beliefs or for these different reasons, they are never going to be affirming. So please don't seek it there. Just general suggestion, general tip. General suggestion, general tip. Can you link resources about how the ASD, ADHD diagnostic criteria have changed over time, especially in the 90s? Yes, I think I did a video on that when we were talking about. I don't know that I went all the way back to the 90s because the DSM-5 did a significant change with autism spectrum disorder because they got rid of Asperger's disorder. So a lot of people talk about this explosion in the diagnosis of autism, but what happened is it was viewed more as a spectrum and not as these individual diagnoses. And so if you look at the rates of autism, they went up, but individuals that might have been diagnosed with Asperger's disorder or that might have been diagnosed with Rett or some other diagnosis, pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, some of those individuals, most are falling somewhere on a more general autism spectrum. And so um I will, if I forget, please remind me. So with late diagnosis, there can also be this grief of feeling like things were missed, or I could have been in a different place, or this would have been helpful, or that would have been helpful. Once again, acknowledging it is good, trying to not get stuck there, because whatever happened in the past, I have no ability to change it. How I feel about it is real and valid. Now I figure out how to move forward and what I need now. If you have children that are on the autism or ADHD spectrum, I have survival guide for kids with autism spectrum disorder and their parents. And so I am going to update my Amazon shop and add a neurodivergent space. I have not done that yet. I'll probably, instead of doing my notes, I'll probably do that by tomorrow, probably later today. And then there's also a survival guide for kids with ADHD. And I think it's important for kids to understand how their brain works, especially because a lot of kids will already know that something's different with them. Especially kids that are getting in trouble in class, that are struggling socially, especially kids that see the world different. So if they're somewhere on the autism spectrum and they're they know there's something going on, and not telling them the diagnosis, it doesn't make them safer, to me personally. So these are my personal thoughts, my personal ideas. Okay. And so I think, but once again, but I don't say, so a child doesn't get to say, because I have ADHD, I can't clean my room. Nope. But it might be they might need help with, okay, pick up your clothes off the floor. And I like there being nonverbal reminders versus verbal. So, for my kiddo, we'll probably do like a visual schedule where it'll have pick up clothes off the floor, where everything's just listed. And he looks at his list, he does the things. If you've done those things, your room is clean. But if I tell my kid to go clean his room, it might get straightened up. Things will probably end up under the bed. Like it's not going to be clean. And do you know who was exactly like that? His mama. If my mom asked me to clean, oh no, because my mom, she used to say, and she's in the chat. My mom used to say, wash the dishes, but wash the dishes meant clean the kitchen. And clean the kitchen meant like also like sweep the floor. Like it was there was a lot. And I got a lot of redirection for all of that. I also wanted to share a new shirt that I just got. And so be who you are, say what you feel, because my camera is like, whoo, my camera. Okay, now it'll stay still. Be who you are, say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. I love it. Once again, be who you are. The people that matter don't mind. The people that mind don't matter. Now, there are some situations. So, we recently realized that our kiddo is neurodivergent. And because of that, so like if we're at TSA and they ask my child his name, my child is very intelligent, extremely intelligent. If they asked him his favorite Pokemon, he could probably tell them that before his name. So I have an ID for him. I have a passport card. I have an ID for him just in case. Because sometimes it looks like I might be trapped. I might like this kid. Does he really belong to you? But he does. And I give my kid prompts going up to travel. Like, hey, buddy, you're gonna go to the airport. When they ask you the questions, I need you to answer them. And I tell them why. They're asking you these questions to make sure that you're safe. Because if you weren't safe, you should let somebody know. And okay, not a problem. I'm probably going to have some videos coming up talking about traveling with neurodivergent children or traveling as a neurodivergent individual, some tips for travel. And I'm going to have like a low budget one, and then like if you and Amazon are too friendly like me, like the must-haves and like just some like wish I could have. Um so we will do that. I love that this is validating. Oh, I always say, don't be mean, say what you mean. I like that. I like that. Someone mentioned, I know I felt like I was missing key parts of whatever instruction manual everyone else got on how to be an adult. Exactly. Exactly. And so honestly, so there are likely adult guides for surviving autism. The kid one, I don't know, like somebody might like the younger version. I don't know. But I am going to put together a list of resources that I think would be helpful. And I love that other people uh uh they end up having similar things. Delivered from Distraction was your favorite book. So I kind of like being distracted. I'm not sure I want to be delivered from it. So as far as stages of change, I am in pre-contemplation. My best work is at the last minute. I don't know. I could. So, but I have a few other books to read first. Somebody else might find that I don't know. I like being a bit squirrely. I like being random, but sometimes you can't be. So if I was going to be a forensic psychologist that was going in and doing testimony and all those things, I would have to probably be medicated. Just being honest. She ping ping pings too much. Ah, have you thought about using Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard? I'm so glad that you mentioned that. My kid doesn't think he needs it. I asked him about it. I was like, "Hey, buddy, there's a lanyard that like there's something you could wear. It has sunflowers on it, and it would just let other people know that you might need more time." And he was like, "Why would I need that?" Okay. uh, so we'll see. We'll see. Uh, the good thing is he's still young. If he was still doing this at like 15, 16, as he's getting bigger, or maybe even 12, because my kid is very tall. He's very, very tall. And that's why I said I travel with a ID for him. Because our names match. Like he's clearly my kid and it is what it is. But yeah. All right. So let me know if y'all have any general questions about receiving a late diagnosis. I'm going to go back to the post because some people asked some really good questions there. And then, like I said, we're going to have a separate neurodivergent space where people can ask questions. I'll likely respond with either a short or a full video. I know I want to do videos on Twice Exceptional. So, Twice Exceptional is somebody that is gifted and has ADHD. Because sometimes people will say, "You're too smart to have ADHD." That's not a thing. Like a person can have a within their profile, there can be a significant gap that points toward ADHD. And often individuals that are twice exceptional are often diagnosed later. So individuals that mask really well. So masking is you're one way when you're comfortable and everybody masks to some extent, but individuals with autism and ADHD mask more. And so sometimes individuals are identified later because they might have had a speech delay, but they might have caught up quickly with speech therapy. Yes, they have some social difficulties, but everybody just thinks, "Oh, they're just shy. They just isolate. They prefer to be alone." They might have some sensory difficulties, but then you realize, wait a minute, this kid only eats French fries. And it's starting to impact dietary needs, all those things. I will also talk in general about resources. Especially for kids, for adults, and those will be future videos that we'll talk about. What do you think about driver's license that tell cops someone has neurodiversity? Yes. So my kiddo will not have an option about that one. So in Virginia, I think they also let you put it on the license plate, but they also have it on the driver's license as well. That can save someone's life. In Virginia, years ago, there was the content warning for a horrible situation. A adult gentleman that has autism, he always went to the library first thing in the morning. It was part of his routine. He showed up to the library early before it opened and he was just waiting out there. He just so happened to also be African American. Somebody likely called the cops and reported him for loitering. And when the cops arrived, they told him to leave. He didn't understand the situation because he was just waiting for the library to open. That was part of his routine. The officers did not understand. They thought he was being defiant. They didn't realize that he was on the autism spectrum. And unfortunately, things escalated and it was absolutely horrific. And so um uh often there can be a grief that can come along with certain diagnoses, especially autism spectrum disorder as a parent. And then also, I don't, and then y'all can let me know as an individual, because there can be a validating part of it, but then there can also be a piece that's just like, oh, wow. Yes, this explains my experience. And also, the world wasn't made for me. And I talked about that with schizophrenia, but it's very true of neurodiversity as well. Our world is made to operate in a very like in a certain way, and some people their brains just don't work that way. And so helping people navigate things and safely I think is really important. Let's see. I think which community post? I was talking and I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, so I did a community post where people, voted on I forgot what I was doing, where people voted if they wanted me to talk about Lindsay Clancy or late diagnosis autism, and over 150 people voted for late diagnosis, and so, um, uh, alright. Now, whether people tell others about their diagnosis, I think it's completely up to them. Um, I will not go through the specifics of my child's diagnosis because I it's my channel. I don't want to do that here. Once he's maybe 15, once he's older, if he wanted to disclose, he could, but I personally won't. Um, um, go into everything. And so let's see. Because somebody asked a question and somebody mentioned the high IQ, which is what I meant by the twice exceptional. Often people with high IQ, sometimes they can have more hyperactivity, their brains work faster, but there is a profile that can be indicative of ADHD. And so, um, all right. All right. All right. Ah, um, somebody else mentioned I felt validated with several of my diagnoses, like, hello, I've been telling y'all for years something was wrong. I'm not just lazy. Exactly. And there can also be a frustration that people didn't hear. So I know I had discussed certain concerns with the pediatrician for years since my kid was like 2 or 3, multiple concerns. And, we had a psych eval scheduled last year, but it fell through, and things were good enough that we made it through the school year okay, but then this school year, it was like, "Oh, no, we need to get an evaluation," and, I'm so glad that the person that did it because they did such a thorough job, they caught the entire picture, because not every evaluation is good. Not everybody specializes in diagnosing certain conditions. So, uh, I think letting because somebody also mentioned having, PTSD and also, some concerns about autism. So I personally, in my practice, I focus on the assessment and treatment of trauma and attachment. And anytime there's a question of, is there autism or not, I often refer because the autism evaluation is in depth. It takes hours upon hours. It is very, very in depth. And there are other people locally that specialize in that, but I specialize in the trauma piece. And because there can be some overlap, but there are some distinctions. So an individual with trauma might have certain sensory triggers, but the sensory triggers might be related to their trauma and versus a general aversion to anything, whatever the person's aversion is. And it can just be very complex. Trauma can impact the way that things are wired. The brain is very like neuroplastic. Some things can be improved, some things might kinda be there. Question. In Germany, I always have my information about my meds because if I would get tested there yeah, yeah, that would be it. Is it same in the US? So there are stimulant and non-stimulant options. So there aren't only stimulant options. And then also, so some people do okay so this is not medical advice, this is just general conversation. So I treat my symptoms with caffeine. So this is caffeinated water. um and I'm not in a job where I have to so if I was an accountant where if I got a number wrong, like a bank it could cause a major problem. I might have to be medicated. My job, it's so, like, I'm okay. I'm okay. Somebody also asked about how things get as people get older. So there are things like perimenopause and menopause that impact ADHD symptoms specifically, because the cycle and hormones, I think it's estrogen, because I think it's so one of them, I think it's estrogen drops, and estrogen and dopamine are both correlated. I have a friend, I might try to see if I can get her on my channel. Um, but she's a psychiatrist, and I've learned so much from her because she gives tips, because she also has ADHD, and she gives tips on managing like crashes with medication. And she recommended protein and like getting outside, some type of brief physical activity. And then for the menstrual cycle, sometimes she will actually adjust dose just for that week, because there is such a dip in estrogen and there can be more ADHD symptoms. It can be harder to think, harder to get things done. Like there can be more symptoms during the menstrual cycle. And so, yeah, somebody mentioned mine got worse during menopause. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Caffeine for the win. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Somebody mentioned I wasn't diagnosed until you were 48. That's when, yeah. Yeah. I can't say if that's common for you or not. So I can only talk in general. So, yeah, I can't answer specifically, but how early did you suspect it in your child? So, um, looking back now, there were signs as young as 2, but transition to daycare. So part of it was just, I don't know if my kiddo was just shy. Do you know? Development can be interesting under the age of 3. And if I had taken my kid somewhere at 3, I don't think anybody would have diagnosed anything. And I have a kiddo that can present extremely well in most situations. Um, and yeah, it can be a lot. But started to get more concerned about first and second grade. So that's my general thing. Um, Ooh. Do you know if there is a correlation between neurodivergence and gender fluidity? I believe that has been studied, and I think the answer is yes, especially with the autism spectrum. So, with that, often individuals on the autism spectrum, they might not feel they fit into any one particular. So that gender fluidity, especially on the autism spectrum. Yes, yes, yes. How to navigate social media, electronic device distractions as an adult with ADHD. So that's where general tips about how to manage things. Sometimes people will have apps that will lock their phone or that will lock apps where you have to do a task before you can go on Instagram. The timer reminders, but I always just went around the reminder by entering the code. So sometimes I will move certain apps off my front screen. So right now on my home screen, I have the social media folder. But if I'm trying to unwind, disconnect, not be on social media as much, I will move it off the home tab, because it can be really, because I'm just looking at the time. Oh, I don't know what time it is. Oh, Instagram's open, and but so it can be really easy if you just see it. So sometimes rearranging the way your home screen looks. Some people will like delete apps from their phone. But that's apps that maybe they get on, because someone's with ADHD, there can be a hyper focus, and there can also be avoidance. So remember that whole, I need to do my notes, but I might want to pack for a trip in 2 weeks. A part of the packing being more appealing can be avoidance, because I don't want to do my notes. Doing my notes is the least favorite part of my job. Notes and reports, not a fan. I have to do them. I have to do them before I get paid. So I do them. I set aside time to do them on a regular basis. When I do the things I don't want to do, I normally have music or I have something playing in the background and it makes it more enjoyable. When I was single, I would go to a different environment. So I used to love to go to Panera or Starbucks or the library, sometimes changing my scenery versus because if I was at home, I would just take a nap. I would just take a nap. I wouldn't do anything. And I love, oh, so when I need to do my notes, I will sometimes clean. I'll fold laundry. I will do anything besides doing my notes. And then at some point, I just sit down and I get them all done. And it doesn't take long. It's not hard, but to my brain, it feels painful. I don't enjoy that part of my job. I take some notes in session. So doing my notes, and I have a format where I'm mostly checking boxes besides writing the overview, anything important that I need to write down. Like my notes are incredibly easy and they come over from prior sessions where I just change certain sections, click the interventions I did, but it's still painful. So I've done the things to make it easier. My camera is that. I get distracted by sorting. Sorting cakes? Is that what you do? Someone on Reddit said the doctor said she didn't have ADHD because she graduated. That's ridiculous. There are lots of people that graduate college that have ADHD. No. So, but there will be some people that say you're too intelligent to have ADHD, but that's that person's philosophy that's not backed by science or research. And that's where I talk about twice exceptional because I've worked with people that yes, they passed college, but like their professors just liked them and let them turn in stuff late. Their professors worked with them. They had to retake several classes. Like you have to talk about the person's experience doing the thing. They had photographic memory and so they could remember everything, but they would pass the test but fail the papers because they wouldn't do them or I don't know. Like people are weird. I wish that was more known where you could look at somebody's profile and know if they had those beliefs or not. Um, yeah, just because somebody graduates college. So I graduated from grad school and there were lots of people. There was somebody in my year that graduated with me and the professors actually recommended that he get assessed for ADHD. Neurodiversity often presents different in women versus boys. Not always, but sometimes there can be some differences. Um, Sometimes there can be more impulsive talking or socially with ADHD. And sometimes a person, because girls are kind of raised to be social. And I've worked with some individuals that were on the spectrum where they got along. It was a female that got along better with boys because boys just played, they didn't talk. So yes, they had peer interactions, but like still was they were lacking conversation skills, the back and forth of a conversation. And, so yeah. Exactly. Would you like would you like to tell us your hyper focus right now? Packing and travel, uh, Disney cruise. Those are my hyper focuses right now, and I'm already packed. If my room was cleaner, I would show you, but like I'm already packed. And when I get back, I'll talk about traveling with a neurodivergent child or as a neurodivergent person. And I think that's part of why I pack early because the passports are already packed. Like I can see the passports from right here. Like everything's already packed. There were also things that I think I did as a parent. So I'm not a rigid parent. I'm a very flexible parent. A friend of mine mentioned that parents of neurodivergent children are often like hyper aware of where their kid is, what their kid is doing. Because I have neighbors that let their kids just like a 5-year-old, let their 5-year-old kid just like run up and down the street and just let them like do whatever. I think when my kid was 6 or 7, I would let him ride his bike out of my sight around a circle to come back. Because my thing was, my kiddo wasn't great at recognizing danger. And so it's like, "Hey, if you see a car with like, the car's bigger than you have to stop. You have to stop." So there are lots of feral children on my street. There's a particular house down the street. Those kids, oh my gosh, they ride their bikes and their, like, motorized cars. They just ride them in the road. Now, the speed limit is 25. People do watch out for them, but, like, oh my gosh, they just and I think they're, like, 7. They might be, like I think the oldest might be 9 or 10, and I think the youngest might be, like, 3 or 4. But, like, they just they have the best time. I could never. Yes, I love that. I worked with my son to make sure he was ready for the next level of freedom. He was walking to school at 6. That's awesome. So we walked to school together. So we have to pass a major road, and it would not be safe for anybody. Like somebody would probably have CPS called on them if they let their young child cross that street every day by themselves. It's a pretty major road. Yeah, because I used to walk my kid to school and then, like, leave before they opened the door, and the teacher was like, "Oh, yeah, I got here, and he was all by himself." Like, they were like, "You have to stay until they open the doors." I was like, "Oh, my bad. My bad." I was trying to get to work. And so, I so appreciate this community. As I mentioned, we are gonna have future videos that are over on the other channel. This will be a safe space for us to talk about all things neurodiversity, not related to cases or trials, just neurodiversity. The reason why I wanted a separate space was just so that if people wanted to connect there, but not about true crime, that the true crime stuff will stay on my main channel. And then the other channel is just going to be all things dyslexia, dysgraphia, sensory processing, autism, ADHD, all the different forms of neurodiversity, and just providing you all with supports and tools. Talking about navigating the school system, because that's a whole thing, and finding occupational therapy, speech therapy. I'm concerned there might be an issue. What are the next steps? So, just kind of helping people navigate some of those things in general. I so appreciate you all. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you all on the main channel on Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.